I'm here with Rich Mack, who has heard over 10,000 bankruptcy stories. He's like a gatekeeper to bankruptcy attorneys. So he understands bankruptcy. People call him all the time, and he sort of like the gatekeeper to see if you qualify or not. One of the fears people have is they're going to have a bankruptcy on their credit report for 10 years.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I get why people would be worried about that.
Right. Yeah, it's a huge concern. No, and I think that is one thing that deters people from filing bankruptcy. They don't want to have bad credit for 10 years. And instead, they're going to spend the next 10 years trying to get out of debt instead of doing the bankruptcy. So what I typically tell people is it's a moot issue. Whether or not bankruptcy shows up on your credit, it does not prevent you from having a good credit score or using your credit. Most people I talk to, they have a lot of debt. Their credit is like 520. There's no way they can get a decent loan on a car in their current situation.
Right.
So one of the examples I point out is you can literally file bankruptcy and get a better deal on a car as early as a day after you file than you could right now in your current situation.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get to that car example, but sticking with the credit, the thing about credit is you don't need a clean credit report to have a high credit score. The bankruptcy, you called it, it's the legal reset. If you rebuild your credit after the bankruptcy, you can have a 720 credit score, 12 to 24 months.
Right.
And that's with a bankruptcy on the credit report, right? There's
and you can buy a house.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But the most important thing is you can rebuild your credit with a bankruptcy on the credit report. Yes, it's going to be on there for 10 years, but you can. And anyone who uses our attorney network, they get free access to 7 steps to a 720 credit score, a credit rebuilding program specifically designed for people with bad credit. Now, the other fear you mentioned is you're going to lose your car, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned that a little bit. You could with our partnerships with the car dealerships that focus on bankruptcy, they can get a car a day after they file. Speak into that.
Yeah. So like if somebody has a debt to income ratio is bad, they make $60,000 a year, they have $30,000 in credit card debt, and they have a credit score of 550. They're going to get taken advantage of by all the sharks in the car industry. So they file bankruptcy, debt to income ratio changes, their credit is wiped out. And then our friends at the car dealerships, we're seeing interest rates as low as 7% post bankruptcy early as a day. I mean, that's not for everybody, it's variable, but we're seeing about 7 to maybe 17%. But some of these people are car loans that are 25, 22% interest rates. That is just going to bury them on the vehicle.
It's really amazing the way the day before they file, they can only buy at a buy here, pay here dealership.
Right.
That's not going to report the credit, and they're paying through the nose. The day after they file, they get a, maybe not the best interest rate, but a decent interest rate. The real low interest rates would probably depend on income and the reason why they filed bankruptcy. But even if it's 15 or 17%, it's a lot lower than buy here, pay here. But more importantly, you're rebuilding your credit after the bankruptcy. The reason why the banks will do that is because they know you can't file bankruptcy for another 7 years, right? Mm-hmm. So what about when people say to you, hey, I'm going to have to sell my house or I'm not going to be able to find a place to live?
Yeah, that's not true. I use a personal example when I tell people I bought a house this last year. And as they were processing my loan, I was signing documents that have you filed bankruptcy. So I asked the loan processor just firsthand, like I haven't filed bankruptcy, but where do you see people with this? How soon are they buying houses? They're 2 years to buy a house. And so when I tell that to people, you can get a mortgage 2 years after bankruptcy. So bankruptcy might show up on your credit for 10 years, but you can get a mortgage. So is bankruptcy really hurting your credit? It's not. If you can get a mortgage, it's the most expensive thing you can buy as an American consumer is a house.
Yeah. The thing is, lenders want to see what you did with your credit after your bankruptcy. That's the most important thing.
Right.
And we're recording this video because we're trying to dispel the misconceptions that most people have. First of all, when you call a bankruptcy to find out about what they offer, you may not qualify. The first real call is, do I qualify to file bankruptcy? Because you may not, and that's okay if you don't. But you're gonna figure out if bankruptcy is for you, and if they're not, they're going to give you an option, or that's what we do internally with Bankruptcy Explained. You call one of our attorneys in our network. If we don't qualify you, we're going to tell you what to do and give you advice. But one, your credit is not going to be in the tank for 10 years. You're going to rebuild your credit with 7 steps or 720 credit score in 12 to 24 months after the bankruptcy. Two, you're not going to be stuck without a car because you have to get to work. Right. I mean, the bankruptcy laws are written that way. So you're gonna be able to get a new car or a different car. Third, you're not going to be out on the street. You're gonna be able to keep your home or rent a property. It all depends on your own situation of your state. But more importantly, we have resources for everybody, for everyone. We have the mortgage banker we can introduce you to. We have the car dealerships we can introduce you to. We got the credit improvement we can introduce you to. We got it all, but this is part of the demystifying the misconceptions. If you have more questions or other fears, put in the comments button and we'll answer them accordingly. Rich, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Phil.